Welcome to Rise Up in Business, the law podcast for small business owners. This podcast is designed to share important legal information without the stuffy legal jargon. I'm Tracy Milacrane. Let's get into today's episode. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Rise Up in Business podcast. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm ever so passionate about, and that is your legals, your legal documents in your business. And I'm going to share with you what I really wish everyone knew about business legals. I want to share this because it's so important. And if this can impact just one listener who takes action today to get their legals in order, then that for me is a win because I know the impact that can have. The one thing I wish everyone knew about legals is that if used right, your legals can be the most powerful tool in your business. All too often, I hear people say to me, I've been putting it off. I wanted to wait and see how my business went. I've been really busy doing all the things. The juggle's real. I'm wearing all the hats. And I get all of that. Absolutely. I hear you. But what happens is the legal documents keep getting pushed to the bottom of that list because there's too much else that needs to be dealt with on the day-to-day in that reactive mode. And what I want to say to you is if you take away nothing else from this episode, take away this. Your legal documents need to come to the top of your list right now because that can change the trajectory of your business journey from now. And I'm going to tell you why. First, when I talk about them being powerful, there's two ways that I think that they are the most powerful. If done well and used right, they can be the most powerful tool to set you up for long-term growth. So if you think about it, when I'm talking legal documents, I'm talking the documents that you enter into with every person or party that you deal with in your business. Regardless of who you're dealing with in your business, you need to have documentation in place for every one of those relationships. So you need to have your client service agreements or your client terms and conditions or whatever you call them, your employment agreements, your contractor agreements, your supplier agreements, your partnership agreement or your shareholders agreement. Whomever you are dealing with in your business needs to have documentation in place to record and reflect the agreement. Sometimes it's required legally, other times it's best practice. And here I am saying to you right now, if you don't have documentation in place, now's the time to get it. And the reason I say that these legals can be a really powerful tool to set you up for growth is because what it does is it allows you to build the momentum and keep it moving forward. And it avoids you having to take your eye off the ball to deal with issues that come up that could have been avoided if you had legals in place. Let's talk employees. I've got a team and they're great. We all get along. They're beautiful people. Such and such has been with me for so long. You know, we're friends as well because we've worked together for so long. I trust them and all the things. But you don't have proper agreements in place or they're not updated or things have changed along the way and you've never recorded it properly. Pay rises, flexibility, duties, roles, responsibilities, whatever it might be. Then imagine this. You get to a point where your person of whom you have the utmost regard for has life-changing circumstances. Partners, children, passion, focus, whatever it might be. And their commitment changes, their dedication changes, their priorities change. It happens. It happens to all of us. It's probably happened to you. What that does is it starts changing and upsetting that beautiful flow that you had in place. And now you're finding it really awkward to have to sit down and have a conversation with them about their performance or about the quality of output or something else. And it's really awkward because you do regard them so highly and you've never had this issue before and your stomach's starting to sink because you're so busy and there's other things you want to be focusing on, but this is all consuming now and it's occupying your thoughts and you don't know how to deal with it. And you sit down and you have that difficult conversation and that person says to you, it's always been this way. Or, but I thought this. Misaligned expectations. And that just makes it worse. And then you spend more time and energy in this low vibing space dealing with this. And whilst you're dealing with this, guess what? You're not dealing with revenue generating activities in your business and you're not dealing with growth activities because you're dealing with this. But if you had your documents in place, if they were up to date and really clear, you could have dealt with that in one email or one phone call or one quick chat because it's all there. And you can use your documents as a really powerful tool to help navigate a tricky situation like that. That's one example of many. It can apply with contractors, your clients, your business partners. My Lord, how many times can I tell you that clients have come to me in a tricky situation? They were friends, they went into business because they were friends, they didn't have documentation in place, they had every intention of getting documentation in place, but they didn't want to spend the money right now. They wanted to see if the business took off first, so they didn't get it in place. But guess what? Now the friendship's fractured, misaligned expectations. I thought this person would be contributing this much. They're not. I feel like I'm working more. That person's working less. This is not what we talked about. I don't feel like we're on the same page anymore. How do we get out of that tricky situation? And it's very challenging to do when there's no documentation in place to record what was agreed. So we have to spend the time and the energy and the money to try and configure a way out or a resolution to preserve the value of that business. One person wants out and one person doesn't. One person has a different view to the other as to what the business is worth and what they're entitled to. And then emotions get involved and holy moly, you know where this goes. You know. But that's all because there were no legal documents in place. Because that legal document, if it was in place for that shareholder agreement or that partnership agreement, could have been the powerful tool needed to navigate really swiftly and clearly and cleanly an exit or a resolution. It doesn't take half the amount of time, energy, or money to do when you've got the documents in place. So there are a couple of examples that I give you for context around just how powerful these documents can be when you're wanting to grow your business or set your business up for long-term sustainable success. I really wish everybody knew just how important the documentation is to support the business moving forward and to avoid the pitfalls and to save the money and the time and the energy later, because it doesn't have to be that way. If you've got those documents in place, my goodness, you are set up for success right from the very get-go. Right from the second you have those documents in place, you are setting yourself and your business up for success. Now, the second tier to what I wish everybody knew about how powerful the legal documents can be is that the legal documents in your business can be a really powerful tool to help you avoid ending up in court. I'm going to be blunt. It's that simple. If you're a long-time listener, you know that the first 12 plus years of my career was spent as a litigation lawyer. That's all I did. Litigation in court all day, every day, just about felt like it, acting for business owners who were suing or being sued. Most of the time it was over money. It's all great for the lawyer. It's all exciting and time consuming and you're single and you have no other commitments and all of those things. Not so great for the parties though, not so great for the businesses. Because in that time, I saw businesses be destroyed, livelihoods shattered, marriages fall apart. Hand on heart, I don't think there's anything I haven't seen. But the key here, the takeaway here is those documents, having the right documents in place can avoid you ending up there. That is powerful. Most of the clients I acted for could have avoided ending up where they did if they had known what they didn't know by asking for advice and getting the right team around them and having the right documents in place. So when I'm talking about ending up in court and you're thinking, gosh, why would I end up in court? I'm talking about things like contract disputes, clients disputing the client service agreement, the services, your invoices. So debt collection is another reason businesses end up in court. Employment issues. I just touched on some of the examples or some illustrations of what can go wrong with employees or your team members, your contractors. Intellectual property disputes. It's another big one. We're seeing it more and more now. Again, having the proper documentation in place really clearly deals with intellectual property and who owns it and who's been licensed and who hasn't and what they can and can't do with it. Client disputes is a big one, and we want to stay away from disputes and litigation and mediation and arbitration. We want to stay away from that in our business when it comes to clients, because then we don't get paid. Then we're engaging in trying to resolve matters, which takes time and energy and money, and that could have been avoided if we had the documentation in place. So you can see from listening to me for the last 10 minutes, you can see how passionate I am about using your legal documents to set you up for success. I say so often on here and over on social media, prevention is better than cure in business, and this is how. Regardless of whether you've been in business for a month or for 10 years, if you don't have these in place, you are at risk, and you don't need to be. You don't need to be. If any of this is resonating with you and you're thinking, gosh, I'm not sure if what I've got in place is working, or I'm not sure that I know how to use my documents, or I'm not sure that these documents are still current because I know there have been so many changes to the law over recent years. If you're not sure, please use the link in the show notes below or jump over to my website, tmsolicitor.com.au, and book a time for us to have a chat. Let's just start the conversation so I can share with you what you need. You will then be able to identify whether you've got it, and we can go from there. This is not the sort of thing that should be overwhelming. This episode is not intended to be overwhelming. My genuine intention is for this to be really empowering for you so you can have that light bulb moment or that aha moment and think, yes, I get it now. I get why she's always going on about these documents. Now's the time. New year. Fantastic. Let's set ourselves up for success and have this conversation. And we might have that conversation and it might go along the lines of, that's fantastic. It all sounds great. Or it might go along the lines of, let me have a look at your documents and I'll give you my comments. Or it might go along the lines of, no problem. You don't have anything in place. Not a problem. Let's talk about what we can do to get you set up. It's a conversation worth having. I hope this has been helpful. I really look forward to hearing from you. I love hearing from you with your feedback from the podcast, and I love fielding your questions. I'm really active on Instagram. As you know, I answer my own DMs and I'm very reliable on email. So reach out to me any way you wish, and I look forward to hearing from you and hope to be able to help. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you next week.